Hey everyone, it's John Barrett with Level Up Your Leadership, where I'm going to help you with a visual leadership lesson so that you can be your best. I want to talk to you about the strengths scale. Now, this is something that my mentor, Dr. John C. Maxwell, has talked about with the law of the lid. And this is something kind of adapted from that I want to share with you about this idea of thinking about strengths and weaknesses. Because if you think about this idea of a scale, let's just say that we've got a scale here. This is a level 10, so to speak. Then we got 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then 0 down here at the bottom. Now, if you think about this, when we have strengths on one side and our weaknesses on others, we always hear that we've got to know our strengths and develop our strengths, and we've got to be aware of our weaknesses and those things. But here's what I found. So many times we, as leaders, we are not spending time developing our strengths. What we do is we tend to wing it in our areas of strengths. I did this as a young leader where in the areas that I was really good at, I would just kind of wing it in those areas. Why? Because I was spending all my time trying to develop my weaknesses. I've got to get better in certain things, especially the things I'm not very good at. I've got to make sure I'm well-rounded and a good well-rounded leader and all these things. And so what happens is, in the name of kind of focusing and improving our weaknesses, we begin to kind of miss our strengths and we don't spend time there. And let me tell you what happens basically. Let's just say that there's an area, a skill that we are a level 4 at over here. And it's not great. It's a weakness, obviously. It's a level 4. So what we do with ourselves or with our team, when we have someone on our team that is not very good in a certain area, what do? We spend all of our time trying to develop that weakness. And so we say, well, we got to get that up because that's not very good. And so we spend all of our time on this side of the column with our weaknesses. The problem is this: with all kinds of effort, intentionality, and energy and time and all of that, you're only going to move up the scale maybe 1 or 2 points. And in fact, I'll be generous to say 2. Generous is if you put all of your time and energy is on nothing but trying to improve that. So say you take the skill over here, whatever it is, and you're spending all your time on yourself or your team trying to improve that. At best, you might move up to a 5. And if you really put a lot of effort in, I mean, maybe a 6, but that's really questionable right there. The problem is that even if you put all your energy trying to improve this weakness, you're still at a 5 or a 6. That's average or barely above. That's still not very great. Nobody cares about a 5 or a 6. It doesn't show up on the radar. Nobody pays for that. Nobody wows anybody with that. You don't gain influence by being at that level. No, you gain influence by being at different levels. And so what happens is that we spend all of our time on our weaknesses trying to improve them. The problem is it's a very marginal increase and it's not worth it. It's not worth your time. Because over here in your strength zone is where you need to be laser focused on yourself and those that you lead. Here's what I mean by that. You got to make sure that you improve and double down on your strengths, not spending all your time trying to improve weaknesses. Let's just say that over here you are a 7 or so in a certain area of strength over here. This is you, you're a 7, you're pretty good at this. Maybe you're a good communicator and you do a good job at connecting with people and that. It's a natural kind of 7. You've worked on it. But what happens is, if we're not careful, like I said, we spend all our time over here and we neglect growing that. Don't do that. Focus on your strength, because what happens is if you put time and energy into your strength, guess what? You're going to go up a few points probably, especially if it's an area of strength that you really want to learn about and you naturally grow in and you excel at it. You're going to move up to an 8, maybe even a 9 over here on that strength. Well, now anything above about an 8 and above, this is where you start getting into the range of expert. This is when people start noticing and your influence grows and you become known for this because it's something that is in your strength zone. It is something incredible. So I want you to think about this. Where in your leadership for yourself might you be just kind of avoiding developing your strengths because you're trying to spend all your time trying to smooth off your edges and get better in your weaknesses? Don't. Forget your weaknesses. Delegate your weaknesses. Try to get rid of them and do what you can, to just survive. But listen, don't worry about your weaknesses. Focus on your strengths. That's where you want to add the most value. That's what you want to be known for, is in this zone. Nobody gets known for things in this zone or even lower in their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, with your team, I want you to think about this when you're leading your team. See, there's a lot of people that are just spending all their time in their weak zones and they're not growing their strength zones. So do yourself a favor and do them a favor and start to take the attention off of their weaknesses and begin to put them on developing their strengths to be the best that they can possibly be. Listen, if you'll think about this, and if you'll begin to lean into your strengths and really become a strengths-based leader where you are only doing what only you can do because you are focused in on those 8, 9s, and 10s that you're great at. If you can do that, you are going to gain influence, you're going to gain value, you're going to begin to be seen and heard because what you're doing is moving something. You're a mover and a shaker at that level. So I want you to focus on your strengths and don't worry about your weaknesses. I'm not saying that if they're a liability that you don't do anything, but stop trying to put all this energy into improving this side of the column. Get over here in the strength zone and be your best. Now listen, think about this with your team. You can go and get the leader guide and the group guide where you can go through this and begin to talk about some questions with your team where you can start focusing more on everybody's strengths. Imagine if your organization, everybody was operating in their sweet strength zone every single day. That's when you go to a whole nother level, not by developing these weaknesses over here. So I hope this was helpful to you guys. Go check out johnbarrettleadership.com. You can get the group guide and group discussions, all kinds of things where you can go through this and think about it, and you can also go through it with your team. Reach out to us today so we can help take you and your team to the next level.